You already know this, but I'll remind you that I've survived 500 days in my world. Starting from scratch, I've evolved to a pretty decent level. I want to put together all of my survival experiences and show you how it all went down. If we get 100 likes, I'll make a next part. Day 201 begins. I'm harvested wheat and spent the day doing chores. I also fed the dog, and I'm gonna get the oak logs from the chest and picking up more wool. The first goal for the near future is to make a netherite sword. I'm crafting beds to mine the netherite. How many of them there are in one place? Put it in shulker. To get the dynamite, I decided to make a bow because I can't fix the old one. I added an equa affinity to my helmet. I crafted the same bow. I can't add it. Sleep. It's morning. I'm going to the nether. I got a really unexpected surprise. There was a creeper that exploded and destroyed the portal. I don't want any more trouble with that enderman. I guess I'll solve the portal problem later. I accidentally hit a zombified piglet and they came at me in droves. I went after the ancient debris and just ran into these long tunnels. I was digging and I found the ancient debris again. Get them! For days I kept digging. Come day 204, explosion these tunnels with beds and find another piece of debris. There is only 2 pieces of dynamite left. I detonated them with a bow. I didn't find anything interesting here anymore. I kept blowing up the tunnels with beds and I paid off. I used a pickaxe to break down a netherrack and I found another one. I kept digging until the beginning of day 205. I've dug, I'm trying to find my way back. I couldn't find it, so I had to do it the grandfatherly way and flee randomly on elytra and came across a place where I have a portal. Now there's a problem I need to solve. How do I light it up? I destroyed my fortification near the portal because I realized it was useless, and I saw a ghast that started shooting at me. The ghast was a chance that he could light the portal and I could go home. That's why I stood right next to the portal, because the ghast could light it with his fireball. And yes, I did it! Thanks for your help, ghast. Then I went home and melted down the ancient debris. I got up to the AFK room at my gunpowder farm. The beginning of the day, I decided that I would stop by for gunpowder later. I went into the woods to get wood. I scrapped together a lot of trapdoors in order to upgrade the farm. I needed to spawn only creepers. Fortunately, I'm having a bad day with gunpowder, and I've been AFK for about 2 days, so I shouldn't have expected much more. Afterwards, I took iron and gold from the blast furnaces. Day's over, let's go to the next one. I took the resources from the smelting furnace and put them in the jewelry chest. I'm off to the experience farm. My pickaxe is almost broken and needs to be repaired. I kept going until I fixed the pickaxe and the shovel, getting rid of those pesky ender pearls. Now I'm going back to nether. I had to just get a little bit more of the ancient debris. We melt it down and get some netherite scrap. Craft it, and that makes 2 netherite ingots. Now I can get sword back. I also made a netherite axe. I spent all day enchanting books for the sword and thinking about what enchantments to add. I decided to get some sleep and solve the problem in the morning. What I did was go to the experience farm to get experience for the sword. It turned out to be a very good enchantment, and I'll also pump them up. I added sharpness, mending, sweeping edge 3. The sword turned out even better than the previous one. I harvested wheat and put it in my inventory. I'll need it to mine emeralds. The day's done. The morning of the 210th day comes, and I go to the village. I gave the farmer wheat and got the emeralds. I decided to go in search of a new village to trade. Strange as it may sound, that village had run out of villagers. On the way, I found a pillager outpost. I forgot to tell you why I'm looking for villagers and emeralds. To my sword, I want to add a book on looting 3, so I went in search of it. I found a village and decided to spend the night there. Once again, we continue to give wheat to the farmer, and in return, we get emeralds. I decided to buy apples from the villagers. I wanted to use them to tame the horse. I put a pulpit in front of a villager 100 times. I arrived at the new village again. After a while, looting 2 comes up, and I buy back 2 of these books. I get home, and I'm glad I have such a good sword. And then I get some uninvited guests. They're selling crap as usual. I decided not to be distracted by the wandering trader. I enchanted my sword for looting 2. I built the experience farm for a reason when going there, and level up to make a good enchantment for the sword 3. I ended up with 53 levels. Now, I can add the looting book and I have a great sword in my hands. I'm getting ready for a very global project. I'm going to build a huge gunpowder farm that will yield a few packs of gunpowder per half hour. I've started collecting the necessary items for this. And I went to get the sand I'll need for the glass. It took me a whole day to get the sand. We melt the sand in the furnace and I go to bed. I want to fetch the wood. I put the remelted glass in it. I made repeaters and observers. Then I went to get wood. I'll need a lot of it. Finished. From the wood I need to craft a lot of trapdoors. These trapdoors are very expensive to craft. I went hunting. I had to kill spiders to get the thread out of them. From the thread I'll make bows. And from the bows I'll make the dispensers I need for the farm. Look what the skeletons turned me into. They turned me into a hedgehog. I repaired the bow and spent 17 levels on it. I went to the nether because I needed to get the last ingredient. Well. Hoglins be cool. And the ingredient is called warped stem. I set off on an elytra to find it. I'm flying over the fortress and I see a lot of wither skeletons. We kill a blaze and a wither skeleton and a skull falls out of it. That's what you call stopping at a fortress by accident. I ended up on a small island in the middle of the lava. Look how beautiful this fortress looks. I arrive in the warped forest and I get these logs. I saddled a strider, but unfortunately, I didn't have a mushroom rod. While I was swimming, I took quite a bit of damage. Good thing I had a regeneration potion. I found the bastion and decided to explore it. We killed a brutal piglin that's standing next to it. Once I got into the bastion, I found a gold block. I used it to make a gold chestplate. I also found a book for soul speed 3. I had to fight the piglins. Now, I can say that in the nether, I've done everything. The distorted stalks are used to make soul campfire. It's an essential ingredient for my farm. I've gathered all the resources and I'm starting construction. For this farm to work properly, it has to be built in the deep ocean. It took me more than a few game days to build the farm. I put chests and hoppers where the drops will go. I'm building the surface where the creepers will spawn. It didn't even know I would need to build 11 of these floors. After a few days, I adapted to the construction and built them all. The building looks like this. Now I'm putting trapdoors on my farm so that creepers can spawn on the farm. I need to fly all the time. So I went to the experience farm and fixed the elytra, putting up the repeaters, and this lever will turn off or start the farm. The work process was coming to an end. I haven't yet told you the most important thing about how this farm works. On each of the floors, you see creepers spawn. In the middle of each floor is an observer and a dispenser. There is a bucket of water in the dispenser, and when the creepers spawn, they fall down. From below, they get burned in the soul campfire and drop falls into the chests. And I'm just standing in the AFK room. I've had a very unpleasant situation happen to me. For some reason, the farm wasn't producing at all. Hour of real time and all I'd get was 1 gunpowder? Come on, for days I've been thinking about how to solve this problem. And after a while, I realized the mistakes I made. I built this farm in the warm deep ocean when I should have built it in the normal deep ocean. My second mistake was that I built the AFK room wrong. I was 20 blocks up. And what do your friends think I did to fix all these problems? I just rebuilt this farm from scratch. It was hard. I was in the AFK room in about 15 minutes and I had over 300 gunpowder. From what I've gotten so far, I've crafted fireworks. I've been standing in the AFK for over half an hour. Let's see what's in the chest together. Get ready. It's about 29 stacks of gunpowder in a little over half an hour. I think that's a very cool result. It's spawning skeleton spiders and creepers. That's because after I rebuilt the farm, I didn't add the gun blocks between the floors. After I went back to the experience farm to fix the elytra, and this time I'm taking the thread. I'll need it to trade with the villagers in the future. I flew back home and added a punch to the bow. It took me 35 levels. Nothing else of interest happened. The next morning I set out on a journey. I need to get sand and find new villages. I wanted to buy some unbreaking books to add to my elytra, because I'm getting kind of tired of them breaking. In the desert, I found my first village that I came across. Now you can watch as I tried to stop a villager with sand. I put the lectern in and out, hoping for the strength to fall out. I could see this book. In order to buy this book, I need to find 10 emeralds. So I bought the emeralds from the farmers that morning. I didn't realize what was happening, but the villagers' offerings were suddenly updated. When I went to his offerings, he had no more unbreaking. How'd that happen, man? Keep my hands up and find the unbreaking books. I've got a whole gang here, and even the iron golem came. It wasn't until nightfall that the books fell out and I bought them. I decided to spend the night in this village. In the morning, I sell wheat. I buy the last book for unbreaking and return home on the elytra. I spent the whole evening harvesting wheat. Sleep. We do the same thing in the morning. My journey is not over yet. I came home to get the wheat and the thread to sell it. We fly in search of adventure. I came across a new village in the desert. After selling half of the wheat to the villagers, I had about 37 emeralds. I spent the night in the same village. Good night. I found a temple and decided to explore it. Dealing leveling with the dynamite. The things I encountered here are not so good. Now, my main goal is to find the fishermen to sell the thread. I found village. I trade with the fishermen and ended up with a little over 100 emeralds. It was getting late, I had to get back. I get home without incident. I went back to villagers, and I was getting these emeralds to buy another book to mending. I started flying to these villagers a lot. I can't add unbreaking book, so I'm removing mending enchant. Add unbreaking, and then I add mending again. Add another book for unbreaking 1. That's how it worked. I'm gonna get some sugar cane. I use it to make paper. From all the gunpowder I make as many fireworks as possible. I put them in the new barrel I put on the first floor. Now I'm gonna have a lot of fireworks. The day's done, I'm off to the experience farm, and throughout the day I've been leveling up. I leveled up 58 levels. Sleep. I woke up and started enchanting books. I combined 2 unbreaking 1 books and added 1 unbreaking 2 to the elytra. Now the elytra are so unbreakable that my anvil broke. I went to the farm to mending the items. I added mending to the netherite axe. Then I went in search of a warm ocean. Look at the beautiful biome I stumbled upon, and I went to retrieve the coral. I used them again as decorations in the house because the last carpet was gone. It was time to build a warehouse in the village. I take blocks of dirt to level the ground. I cut down trees and leveled the surface. I was flying over the area at night and randomly came across the cave where it all began. It was in this mine that I spent my first night. I was already short on blocks. I went on elytra to get him. The mobs kept getting in the way of getting blocks. When I had enough blocks, I went home. I spent the night right away. I'm done with the territory. In the future, this will be a warehouse. I dug a deep hole that looks like a swimming pool. On day 245, I've already made the floor and walls. I got more wood for the building. I return home and go to bed. The next morning, I'll continue. Another day I spent building. This time I thought about how I could build better. From the furnaces, I took blocks of glass and decided to combine them. I didn't have enough glass, that's why I'm going for sand. Look at all these strange islands I'm flying over. What kind of world regeneration is this? I'm flying to the desert and mine the sand. I melted all down at home. Okay, the warehouse was all set up. I just had to add chests and decorations. Next to my house was a flying rock that had been pissing me off since day 1 of survival. I set about destroying it. By evening, the warehouse was up and running. I put up the first chest. I was attacked by pillagers, but I quickly dispatched them. I spent the whole day decorating the safe house. I added an enchant table and beds. Now I'm off to get the clay. I couldn't breathe underwater. I came home. I made a potion for water breathing. Until the evening, I continued to work on the clay. At night, at home, I put the clay in the furnaces. I need the bricks for the decorations in the warehouse. I read the comments, and one of the subscribers didn't like the fact that I was sleeping at home. That's why I decided to sleep on an enchant table. Anniversary day 250. Renovated the walls in the warehouse. It looks better now. It took all day. Sleep. I slept the morning organizing things in the warehouse. I decided to replace the iron with a diamond beacon. That should have been done a long time ago. Sleep. I built a doghouse and get wood for it. I'm finished. Now I can bring the dog to his new home. Day 253. I fly to the desert to get a cactus. I met some turtles along the way. I get the cactus. We're on our way back, and I needed the cactus to make a trash can, so I spent the whole evening doing chores. I realized I needed a horse. I'll make a stable for it later, though. I tamed it with some apples I bought from a villager. I put on a saddle and diamond horse armor. The question was, where could I take this horse at this point? And I didn't have much choice but to put it in the mill temporarily. The day begins at the experience farm. Now, I'm packing up the shulker for the trip. I'm taking fireworks, and I'm off to adventure. The main goal of this trip is to find slime, or a leash, and I want to find the heart of the sun. While I was flying, I found a village. Looted and run! I spent the night in a village I met along the way. I took the emeralds from the chest. We keep flying onward. I thought it would be better to stop and fish in one place. My priority is to find the nautilus shells, which I'll use to make a conduit. I was fishing and didn't get anything good. I decided to spend the night in a small cave I met nearby. I got a third nautilus shell. The other 2 I found at home. I fished all day long. And at the end of the day, I got a gift. A trader comes by with llamas. I kill the llamas because I need a leash. And one goal of the trip is accomplished. I keep fishing, but nothing comes out. The rod is almost broken and the decision was made to go home. Look at the beautiful place I came across. And here's another beautiful place. Sometimes Minecraft amazes me with its beauty. We'll continue fishing into the morning. Another shell falls out. That makes 6 of them. The hope of getting another shell was not lost on me. The pillagers attacked my territory. story. That was quick. I removed the bad omen with milk. It's evening and I'm still fishing. A new day and the last shell. I go to the ocean monument, I get the prismarine blocks, and once again I almost get killed by the guardians. I made a conduit, drank a potion of water breathing, went to sleep. Underwater I set up the prismarine blocks and the conduit. Now it's fully functional. I put the stuff I fished in the chest. I spend the rest of the day doing chores. Day 265, I make a stable for the horse. I'm fishing the roof, taking the horse to his new home, and I needed a leash for that. Pillagers! These uninvited guests have been coming around a lot. I added frames to the chests in the warehouse. I decided to continue the fence in some places where it's needed. Now that's what you call a good morning. A zombie broke down the floor to my house. I'm having a zombie apocalypse in this world. I made a new bow. I added power 3 and infinity. I'm off to the experience farm now. I start mining. For 5 days I've been mining it. Now pause the video and try to guess in the comments what level I was at. I kept killing endermans. I made it to level 100. I almost paid for it because I got attacked. He could have killed me. I managed to hide. I got home. I took a cobblestone from the house and built a roof, so at least I wouldn't fall off. I also finished the entrance to the mill. Now I'm off to the gunpowder farm again. The first AFK cycle was 45 minutes. A lot of gunpowder and a lot of thread stacks fell into the chests. The second time I stood for 45 minutes again. I'm amazed at how much. After we get back, we sleep. We take the sand from the warehouse. I'm crafting as much dynamite as we can. We'll be off to blow up the nether. Along the way, I came across a shipwreck. Look how it's preserved. Thanks to the ship, I found the treasure and wrecked it. Then I flew to the desert. I spent 2 days mining sand for dynamite. I ended up with about 41 stacks of sand. I continued making dynamite. About 10 stacks of dynamite. I think we're going to have a blast today. We go to the nether. I had a problem with lava, so I went home and I made a fire resistance potion. And there was a very dangerous situation where I was almost killed by a piglin. I came out of that situation victorious. I put about 30 pieces of dynamite and we're going to detonate it with a bow. We're immediately greeted by ancient debris. I think it's pretty good for 30 pieces of dynamite blown up. Let's put some more TNT on it and set it on fire. Watch the explosion. And look how beautiful the mine turned out. I didn't have any ancient debris here. This time I spared no dynamite and put 2 stacks. Look how beautiful it looks. I found more ancient debris. More debris. More. There was a lot of it. I keep mining a tunnel to fill it with dynamite. I put about 3 stacks of explosives in the tunnel. Blow up and run away. You can see with the naked eye how much ancient debris there is here. I'm gonna start mining all the ones I see. How many debris do you think I'm gonna get? Mining more. There's more hiding behind the lava. Half a stack in one trip. That's a record for me. Then I blew up the rest of the TNT. I had no luck here. I was under a lava lake and the lava covered the tunnel. I made the decision to find a way home. I didn't remember the coordinates of the portal, so I'll fly roughly. But my quest in the lake took a while. I came across a fortress and decided to kill some skeletons. I caught a skull from one of them. I arrived home. I spent the night. I melt down ancient debris. I spent the day building a statue on the spot where I destroyed the flying island. Construction continued into the night. I want the statue to symbolize my survival. Another day finished. There's just a little bit left to finish. My statue looks very beautiful, especially at night. I think it's better than a flying stone island. Let's go to bed. It's day 300 in my hardcore world. Please like and subscribe to the channel. If we get 100 likes, I'll make a next part. Bye everyone.